Good evening, everybody. Welcome to It's All Black and White TV. And tonight I'm joined by Peter.
Very well, Tony. You?
Yeah, not too bad. Another busy day at Newcastle United this game. But anyway, before we get into the show, if you do like what you see, please do smash that like. It really does help the channel up the search, and it means new viewers find it more easily. Also, if you are brand new at the channel, come and smash the subscribe. Come be part of this great community we have here. And also hitting that bell notification tells you when I'm live, have a pre-record, or any upcoming show. And you're free to do so. If you want to become a member, it's 99p. You can do that by clicking the join button. And if you want to make a donation, you can do that in the chat by clicking on the $ for the super thanks, super chat option as well. Look, one thing I am going to do before we get into tonight's show, because, I think it's just rather important we pay homage to this person. And here we go. Are you ready? Cue. Yes, so Special K is 73 years of age today on this Valentine's Day, and happy Valentine's Day to everybody out there as well. I thought I just had to do that because I thought that was special, because obviously, what a player he was for us, and he was a great manager for us as well. Unfortunately, he didn't win us the title, but he went very close. But happy birthday, Special K. Happy birthday, Keegan. We love you still. You're a legend. Right, let's get into some comments, because the comments were flying. Brian says, so apparently Ashworth wasn't given the keys to Newcastle and wasn't in the inner circle. Please, Amanda, get Michael Edwards. We don't want John Hughes from Home Alone. We'll get into this, Brian, I'm sure. He would bring in average players and get us relegated. Brian also says, and don't dare bring back Penfold, aka Charlie. I've had numerous run-ins with him over the years when it comes to our football club. I think that was a prank by Chippers. That's Frank Chipper, so I don't think that will ever happen. Good evening, Julie says. Good evening, Julie. Andrew says, I don't and never saw the big fuss about him, to be honest. What's Brighton done? Yeah. Evening all says, B.I. Good evening, B.I. Ian says, hi, Tony and Pete. Hi to you. Ian, hope you're well.
Hope you're well.
Time for the return and lead. Don't be silly. Don't be putting silly comments like that in. Tony is Brian. I don't think so, Ryan. I certainly don't want to see another video of his feet. Evening says Mason. Good evening to you, mate. Hope you're well. After that thumping from Leeds last night. Andrew says, you well, buddy? Oh, he's talking to Ian. People talking to each other there in the chat. Me, the Swan's got Muller phone out, says Brian. Ian says Celtic's not playing tonight. How are you, man? Tony, you doing your makeup again? No, Andrew, I was just getting a cup of tea, mate. Sorry for being late. Yeah, they got an absolute mullering last night, didn't they? I've got the Borough game on. It's crap, says Andrew. Preston North End are 1-0 up. It's Middlesbrough getting beat, says Brian. Yeah, by the looks of it. David says, hi, Tony and Pete. How are you, boys?
Well, David?
I'm fine. Great. Thank you, David. I hope you're well too, mate. Julie says, King Kev. Absolutely. Julie says, might play his hit single. Oliver B says, Ashworth can F off. He's only interested in money. He's going to a rotten club. Still majority owned by people in line with their own pockets. Good luck, Dan. Yeah, well said, Oliver. King Kev, one of the best, absolutely. Paul says, evening all. Good evening to you, Paul. Hope you're well. Oh, not PD. Would have watched Emmerdale, says Andrew.
Thanks, Andrew.
God's sake, Andrew.
Oh.
Evening, Tony, Pete and all. Good evening to you, Lee, and I hope your new job's going well, mate. David says, hi, guys. Bloody hell, lol. Almost give me a heart attack. I thought KK had died, man. Jeez, Tony. No. It's his birthday today. Come on,
And
Shaggy.
Mia Dad's as well.
Birthday. Yes, it is. Mia Dad's. Mackems are losing to Huddersfield. Nice one. Come on, the Terriers. Note the Penfold. It's a joke, Julie. That one by that Frank Chippers on Facebook, Twitter. I still don't believe Ashworth's gone, says Julie. Nothing's confirmed yet, but hope he stays. Right. Let's get into the main talking point. And the main talking point is this man here, Dan Ashworth. There he is. Now, it was reported this morning. Well, it was reported last night. There was this rumours going around and David Ornstein put it out there. And then Sky broke it this morning on their breaking news, saying that Man United were looking at Dan Ashworth. And this afternoon, Craig Hope put a thing out at about 1:30. An agreement between Man United and Dan Ashworth expected to be reached as early as next week. Man United preparing a formal approach as long as compensation is agreed. It's to be swift. And then that was earlier on, and he said that. But look, it looks like he could be on his way to Man United. We could be losing Dan Ashworth to Man United. David Ornstein put out there as well that Dan Ashworth's informal relating to the sporting director role. Clubs are not yet in formal contact, but are expected soon. Manchester United would need to pay Newcastle a significant compensation for the 52-year-old. So what they're saying there is basically they need to sort out the compensation side of it as well. Look, what Luke Edwards has put out as well is that Newcastle will be due a large compensation fee for Dan Ashworth. Insists they are well protected in terms of his contract. A prolonged period of gardening leave is expected. That's possibly as much as 12 months, unless Man United want to pay even more money to cut that short. So it could be a deal worth up to £21 million for Dan Ashworth to go to Man United if they want him now, rather than waiting 12 months down the line. If that's the case, that's a deal, because at the end of the day, it helps the FFP situation. Pete, give me your thoughts. Dan Ashworth to Man United. How shocked are you at this news?
Well, yeah, there was talks previously that he was going nowhere, but, well, we'll wait and see, I suppose, on it. I mean, yes, Sky have showed the interest in them, but nothing is officially agreed. Well, Craig Hope says that this could happen, but we'll wait and see.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to believe anything until our club announces that he's gone. Because it could happen, but it may not. Luke Edwards always take with a pinch of salt anyways.
I mean, yeah, some people have said him and Eddie Howe don't get on. Sky Carvey Solical put out a load of books saying, well, Dan Ashworth was instrumental in bringing Bruno. Well, he wasn't even here when Bruno came.
Oh, no.
So how could he have brought Bruno in? That bloke, Carvey Solical of Sky, I can't stand that bloke. He's arrogant. He hates us because he's more of a Man United man, isn't he? And I just can't stand the bloke. And, I don't know why he gets the airtime, but, yeah. I mean, look, if Dan Ashworth goes, do you know what? I haven't got a problem with that, because, look, like I've said always, even in my job, I say nobody's indispensable, right? Nobody's bigger than anybody else or any club. So at the end of the day, if Man United, Jim Ratcliffe says, I'll give you the 21 million now to take him, do you think our owners are going to say, oh, no, you're not having them? No, they're going to say, 21 million? Deal. Take him.
Yep.
They're not going to say no deal to that. They're going to say deal. Because why wouldn't they? We hold all the aces at the moment, more than what Man United hold. We do know Ashworth is friends with Jim Ratcliffe. So that's possibly why Man United fans are going on like they're signing a big player from us. That's what they're doing at the minute. The Man U fans are going into absolute meltdown, laughing at us, saying, "Ha, you can't even keep your sporting director. He's come to Man United because we're better than you and all this." And it's like, you know, you're not signing Lionel Messi for fuck's sake, you know. It's at the end of the day, it's Dan Ashworth. It's a sporting director. But there was an interesting one this afternoon that come out from Mark Douglas. I don't know if anybody saw his tweet, and I will pick up on that, what he said this afternoon. He said, look, it's far. This was this afternoon, obviously, but till tonight's developments. But he said, it was far from a done deal, but Fiaz will go. Time to decide. The Man United approach is imminent. And he says what losing him means and why NUFC wouldn't fret, because they have spoken to an elite director of football who would jump at the chance of joining Newcastle United. So we have looked at an elite director of football, and that director of football has said yes straight away. So now then, that just shows you we've been doing our due diligence behind the scenes and doing a bit of homework and a bit of digging. The one man that comes into frame for me as a director of football for us, who's currently unemployed at the moment. He hasn't got a job anywhere, so you wouldn't have to pay for him, and you won't have the problems of these gardening leaves and that. And it's this fella here who's coming on screen now. There he is. That is Michael Edwards, the ex-Liverpool director of football. Michael Edwards, who was responsible for getting in the likes of Mo Salah, Virgil van Dijk, etc. This guy takes no nonsense. Very good director of football. And I wouldn't be surprised that if we lose Ashworth, we are upgrading Ashworth, let's be honest here. Now, maybe Ashworth doesn't want to stay because he knows the financial fair play situation and that he doesn't want to be part of it, and he wants to go to Man United and join their project, which I think, what project is that? Project minus how much money per season. But at the end of the day, Michael Edwards, Pete, would you take him? Do you know much about him?
Not a lot, but from what you've just said there, Tony, well, if he's been bringing in players like Mo Salah and Virgil van Dijk into Liverpool, that just shows that there you've got a really, really good top sporting director there. So if Ashworth was to leave, yes, I would definitely have him.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, they're saying he's in the frame, but again, we don't know if Newcastle's spoken to him. We don't know who this elite director of football is because it's not being said who he is. We're just presuming it could be Michael Edwards. There is another one which I could look at as well. And that sporting director we could possibly bring in could be Michael Emiliano, who we were linked with when we first had the takeover. Ex-Chelsea sporting director, now running the Saudi League in Saudi Arabia. He's one of the CEO, like Richard Masters is. Again, it probably wouldn't cost a lot to get him from the Saudi league, and again, it could be Michael Emiliano, and again, not a bad choice if that's the case. But it's very interesting to see how the next, because I think this could develop very, very quickly. To be gathering a hell of a lot of pace. Because obviously today the FA ratified Ratcliffe's semi-takeover of Man United. And now he's just got to put it past his share exchange just to tell them that he's taken the reins at Man United as well. So it's basically rubber stamped. And obviously he's desperate to get a hold of Dan Ashworth at all costs by the looks of it. That's his number one target. So, look, as I always say, yes, it might be sad that he's going, but then every cloud has a silver lining, as they say.
That's it.
And, I back our owners to make the right appointment.
Yep.
There has been some out there, like Brian said earlier, about Richard Hughes. But he did sign for Eddie Howe when he was at Bournemouth. And I think, but if he comes in, does that help us because he knows Eddie Howe? So,
yeah, could be.
And would it be the fact that would he have the pulling power though to bring the big players in when Michael Edwards has got that pulling power, or a Michael Emiliano? So again, we just have to wait and see what happens on that one. But it's going to be a very interesting next few days. As I say, we know things like this can develop very quickly. As much as I can say, things could be sorted out early next week. This could be sorted out by the weekend. So again, we just have to see. We will see what happens. As we know in football, things can develop very, very quickly. And
they can.
What you got to remember is we want to be an elite club, but we can't be an elite at the moment because we can't get past this FFP situation. And that's what's killing us at the moment, And this is due to our former owner not generating enough funds into the club. And these owners are trying to play catch up by bringing.
Yeah,
that's why they're looking to try and get a training ground sponsor, a training kit sponsor, a pre-match warm-up kit sponsor as well, So you've got different sponsors all over. And these owners will get it right. It's just going to take time. Rome wasn't built in a day. But, as I say, if we've been speaking to an elite director of football, then exciting times could be just around the corner. Because remember, if we're going to do this deal, if Ashworth wants to go to Man United, I want this done sooner rather than later. So come the summer, we've got a new director of football already in, and he's got his feet under the table, and he can say, right, okay, boom, let's do it. And I think it'll be a massive summer ahead. I really do.
Yeah,
just going to grab some comments here and see what people have had to say. I'll find where the last comment was. Nothing says confirmed yet, but hope he stays, says Bia. If we are serious, pay Shearer out a match of the day, make him a sporting director. He hasn't got the experience, so that's the problem.
No, that's it, yeah.
That call doesn't know what he's talking about, says Bia. 52 years old. Is he 3 years younger than Dummett? Lee says, just shows money talks. Ashworth going to a toxic club. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's
as who was it? Paul. I can't remember his surname now. Paul. He was the funny man. Anyway, loads of money, he used to say. Loads of money. That's what Ashworth's going for. If you can remember what his name is, I know it's Paul, but I can't think of his surname at the moment. It'll probably come to me, to be fair. Billy the Fish says, so all the players Newcastle are after and future, etc., will be known to Man United if he leaves, and possible to enforce confidentiality. Yes, that's a very good point, Billy, it is. But again, you never know. Julie says it could be the media making mischief. I'm not sure, though, Julie. It's getting stronger by the hour. So I'm not sure. Job's going well. It's great. Thanks. Happy days. No worries, Lee. Great. I'm glad you're enjoying it, mate. I love that orange Puma shirt, Tony. Cheers, Andrew. It's got Maxi on the back. David says, could have been January for Ashworth, but then we could have got a loan player in. Do you know what it is, though? Right now, I'm looking back at the January window, and I'm thinking, is that why we haven't signed anybody in January? Because this has been going on in the background about Ashworth as well. And, who knows? Toon says, back to Bates. Hi, mate. Hope you're well. Brian says, don't forget Sky have a loving with Man United ever since he tried to buy the club in the 90s. Yeah. The Glazers won't pay 21 million. Well, it's not the Glazers, Mason. It'll be Jim Ratcliffe's money.
Yeah. And
he's a very wealthy man. Not as wealthy as our owners, by the way. I'm 52. Julie Ashworth has a face like a walnut, says Andrew.
Oh, bit harsh.
Isn't it? Ronald says that Goldstein whinging about transfers of players should get on gardening leave when the lad said Ashworth should if he gets to Man U. The glory hunting Muppet doesn't know he did it at Brighton. See, I've had Brighton fans say to me, it's not down to Ashworth, their recruitment. It's Jim Ratcliffe off the bill. No, Lee. Jim Ratcliffe is skint. He wants us taxpayers to pay to rebuild Old Trafford. He needs government money. He's a small timer.
Yeah, I heard something about that as well. He's never going to get that.
Yeah, he wants to move them away, doesn't he, from Old Trafford?
Where's he going to move them to?
God knows. He was always injured anyway. See, shots have been fired in Kansas during the Super Bowl parade. Oh, do you know what?
No.
Oh, no. What, bad shots or just, is it like shots as in like, I don't know, because that Super Bowl, I don't do that sort of rubbish, to be fair. I'm sorry. I know there might be some viewers who watch it and say it's great American football, but to me, I'm not an American football fan. I don't like it. It says here multiple people have been hit by shots fired near to where Kansas City Chiefs victory parade was taking place. 8 to 10 people have been injured. It occurred near a train station. So let's hope the 2 armed people have been taken into custody. So they've been arrested on the scene. And let's hope the people aren't too badly injured. So our thoughts with them. There's a Man U weapon on TalkSport chat this morning saying they were getting Ashworth and would get Bruno, Isak and Botman. They wouldn't. Not a chance. David says Michael Edwards. Yeah, absolutely. Bias is currently unemployed. Paul Gallant.
Oh,
Jesus, Bias.
Oh, man.
Andrew says, my dad worked for a company for over 40 years. Radcliffe bought it, killed the conditions, and that must pay. Cutbacks ruined it. He's a see you next Tuesday, so watch the space, man. You are. Via his knowledge of football, you could get on a fleas once.
On a fleas horse.
Scott, hi mate, hope you're well. He says, I think losing Dan would be worse than Bruno leaving. I think the players Dan can find is why to be ashamed to see him go.
Well, not necessarily. If we get a good replacement, it might be better.
Fuggy Crack says, if his heart is not in the club, let him go, as he will not put everything into his job. Also, if he's leaving, he'll be scouting for his new club whilst being paid by us. Do you know what? That's a very good point, mate. Absolutely. And do you know what it is? If Ashworth wants to go, do you know what I would do? I'd say, right, okay, if you want to leave, you're obviously not committed here. So, do you know what? Off your pop. And that's what you've got to do. You're going to be, it's like a player. If a player doesn't want to play for a team, they don't want to be at that club.
No, that's it. Well,
then it's pointless playing that player because you're not going to get the best out of them. The same with Ashworth. You're not going to get the best out of him because he's going to be sitting there sulking. So, yeah, time to get rid. Absolutely. Guys, I got 44 watching at the minute, so if you haven't yet smashed that like, please do give it a like. That'd be fantastic.
Bloody hell!
And also, if you're new to the channel, please give it a subscribe as well. Same as Steve Bruce says, David. Bia says, is Ashworth going? He's going for the money, and it will be bad for his career. Do you know what, Bia? Let him do that, mate. That's up to him at the end of the day.
Up to him. We can't step in his way.
Up the Mag says on Dan Ashworth's Wikipedia, he works for Man United. Well, anybody can edit that.
Well, anyone can go on Wikipedia and edit anything.
Andrew says he's like Eric Clapton on guitar. Steve Bruce, a sporting director. No chance, Brian.
Oh, my God, no.
Ronald says Michael Edwards has apparently used Paul Gallant's Miracle Grow. Steve Bruce's catering manager. Well, yeah, because he'd be
Bruce to pull the pints. Never mind.
He'd probably be sitting there stuffing the kebabs. Julie says he only ever sees match of the day. Can it afford Sky? So he says. I refuse to watch Lineker. Is it the Wild West, says Andrew. Time for an anti-competitive lawsuit, me thinks. Do it, says David. Do you know what, David? I can't disagree, mate, with you. I mean, look, surely this has got to be illegal because it is anti-competitive at the end of the day. And I think, if I'm honest with you, I think clubs are finding it more and more difficult now to stay afloat because of this. I think they're killing clubs, if I'm honest.
They are.
If you're going to give Everton another deduction and you give Forest a deduction and those two teams get relegated, and then when they go in the Championship, what say they don't suffer a double relegation, end up in League One, and they lose lots and lots of money. Do you know what? It can fold clubs, this.
You can.
Billy the Fish says, Man U are hundreds of millions in debt despite high revenue, yet FFP doesn't consider overall debt. It's madness. Yes, it is, absolutely. 1.2 million in debt. They're a lot more in debt than that, David.
Oh, it's at least a few 100,000 in it.
It's 660 million.
600.
For when they bought the club, they still haven't paid that off. Harry Enfield, that's it, Julie. That's who I was trying to think of. Harry Enfield, yes. Loads of money. Paul Whitehouse was a psychic. Yes, he was. Cringe says, evening, lads and lasses. Sorry I'm late. No worries, Cringe, no worries. What's your thoughts, mate, on Ashworth possibly going? It was Harry Enfield. Yes, it was. Harry Enfield, loads of money, yeah. That's who I meant to say. I knew where I was going with that one. 1.2 billion in debt, says David. All right, okay. Stavros. Hale and Pace. Yeah, I remember them. Brian says, not this year as director of football, you need experience in how to look at players and negotiate deals with agents. Absolutely, Brian. Sentiment and nostalgia doesn't win trophies. Being ruthless does. Do you know what? You're absolutely right, Andrew. I mean, look, there was rumours going around that Dan Ashworth wanted to hand Jamal Lascelles an extra 2-year contract.
Lascelles' time. Been a great saving,
it's time for him to go.
Yeah, it's a player time to go.
You know my daft humour. Yeah, London, says David. Also had conversations with some Brighton fans today as well, says Brian. He could always move Man U to his tax haven in Monaco. Yeah. Julie says, I know they wouldn't, but the guy's a monumental bellend. In America, you only have automatic rifles. It's just ridiculous, the gun laws over there. It's one place I would never want to go to.
Where? Monaco?
No, I've been to Monaco. America.
Oh, no, I've never been to America as well.
No, I've been to Monaco. I've driven into Monaco. It's lovely. Monaco's nice. It's expensive.
Mm-hmm.
And if you go at the end of the tunnel where they have the Formula One, they've got a souvenir shop in there. And even for a kiddie size suit, you know, like what the drivers wear, for like say 1 or 2 year old, you're paying 80 quid for one of them.
Oh, bloody hell.
You know? Yeah. Ratcliffe wants the government to make Man United the ground of the Wembley of the North. Well, you can't be bigger than Wembley. Oliver says, I'm supporting Gallant for sporting director. He'll also bring half-time entertainment and hair products for the players. Love Gallant. What a guy. Well said, Oliver. I like that. That's brilliant, mate. Lee says, if Ashworth was that good, we would have got Guirassy for only 15 million when we had the chance. Well, yeah. That's why I'm saying I don't think we sign players in January because of Ashworth going. Maybe this is what's been going on, and maybe the owners thought, no, we're not wasting any money in this window.
Mm-hmm.
Steve Bruce couldn't pull his put up. Never mind the pain, says Andrew. Brian says, Tony, I've just realised you're like Steve Pemberton, Mick Garvey from Benidorm inside. Do you know what? I've had that many a time of people. And it just makes me laugh. I just laugh. I can see the Glazers paying the 21 million.
Well,
it won't be the Glazers, Mason,
it'd be Radcliffe's,
because he's taken over the football side of it. Debt is lost to these clubs and billion debt are corrupt as F yet. YouTube hail in pace and a car representing a man's manhood funny as out. America's okay if you go to the right places, yeah. I suppose so, yeah. Just, it's like anywhere you go. It doesn't matter where you go in the world, you just got to have your wits about you. Bia says my mother was in Florida, was in an accident, rushed to hospital despite having insurance, and got a $43K bill for it. Wow. I'm supporting Gallant for sporting director, and we can bring in all the crypto money, says Bia. My ma and stepdad love America like they've been a few times.
That's fair enough.
Ratcliffe controls the football side. Glazers look after the commercial side. Absolutely,
yeah,
Julie.
that's how it probably will be.
But yeah, so Pete Ashworth, is he going? Yes or no?
Oh, this is a hard one. I think he could well be. Yes. I think if Sky's reported it, but nothing's been agreed, I think there could well be something in this. But if it's to get a replacement in, I don't mind. If it's someone like the former Liverpool sporting director, fair enough, yes. But I think Dan Ashworth, from what is going on, I think he could well be going at this right now.
I mean, I'm going to say, I think Dan Ashworth's going, and I'm going to say 70-30 thinks he's going. So there you go. That's how much percentage I'm saying. 70% I think he's going.
Yep.
There's only 30% that thinks he'll stay, but I don't think he will. I think he'll be gone. Money talks at the end of the day. And, you know, whatever's offered, I'm sure he'll take it.
You can get lost, Brian. No,
David says the two need to demand 21 million, another 10 million to release him from garden leave, and demand it all up front. Use the 30 million via a 5-year amortization, which is 150 million simples. Do you know what? That's a good idea, that, absolutely. And just think of the player we could have in for that as well. So yeah, well said there, David. Lee says, Steve Brush, much use as a chocolate fire guard. Cringe says, Tony, if you think Monaco's expensive, you should try the Sapphire Club in Vegas. Yeah, I bet that's expensive. No, I know Monaco's expensive, and Saint-Tropez is expensive as well. I mean, I remember when I was there and got a bottle of Coke, a 500ml bottle of Coke, just the plastic bottles. And he came out, put the Coke on the table, took the lid off, walked away. And he came back and he said, "Do you want anything else?" I said, "No, just the drink." €5, £3.50 for a bottle of Coke.
Oh,
I thought, no wonder you've took the lid off, because if we knew the price beforehand, I would have said no, thank you, and walked away. But that's because it's Saint-Tropez, and you've got famous people there who have boats and things like that. So yeah, that's why it's expensive. And that was back in 2007, so it may have gone up a lot more since then. Brian says Paul Gallant will knock on Peter's door with a spinning board.
You can get lost there, Brian. Yeah.
Put it to a Paul. Do you know what? That's a good idea, Bia. And I'm going to do that now, mate. I'm going to stick that on there. So thank you very much for that idea. I should have thought about that at the start. Right, I'm just putting it in now. Will Dan Ashworth leave? So I'll put Will Dan Ashworth leave NUFC, and then you can vote yes or no. So the poll is up there now. It's now live. So do get voting, guys and girls. And before the end of the show, we will have a look at the results of that poll as well. So do get voting on that as well. I normally do put a few polls up. Torag's at the door. I think he'll go for family in the Midlands. Be a shame. Interesting, yeah. Julie says, oh, God, I yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mason says, for some reason, I thought the Glazers would pay all the finances for deal sponsorship. Well, obviously, Ratcliffe's money will be there, won't it?
Mm-hmm.
Wayne says, evening, Tony, Pete, and all in chat. Good evening, Wayne. Hope you're well.
You'll be well, Wayne.
Ronald says, I once come second in a Brad Pitt lookalike contest. Rishi Sunak came first. I look at Rishi Sunak and I think, did he model his ears on the FA Cup? Like a pair of handles, or the European Cup in it. Fucking looks on him. Mason says Peter will be waiting for Gallant with his Man U shirt on and Bruno on the back.
Just to let you know, there will be a vacancy soon for co-host on PD Proudlock's channel. Very, very soon.
Up the mag says it's Paul Gallant, the bloke who looks like the old man from Poltergeist.
What?
The old man from Poltergeist.
I don't think I've seen him before.
Jam Stasher, good evening to you. He says, losing a good man, but there are other sporting directors out there. Do you know what? This is exactly what I've been saying.
There will be.
Mate.
There will be.
There is plenty out there. As I mentioned before, there's Michael Edwards out there. You've got Michael Emiliano. There's all sorts out there. So absolutely. And if we've spoken to an elite director of football, then Richard Hughes, I don't think falls in that category. It's going to be someone like Michael Emiliano or Michael Edwards on that basis. Joe Linton says, be better without Ashworth anyway, isn't all that? Brian says, it cost me £9 for a mini bottle of Coke near the London Eye one time. Jesus.
Wow! Whoa! Jesus, wept.
Joe Biden is the Reverend Kane out of Poltergeist. Quinn says, Sod Ashworth, Crafters here for another year. Yeah, we're going to get into that in a moment. Cheers, Peter, about time. Seeing you get rid of Mason. 12th Man Toon says, evening, everyone. Honestly, we don't need Ashworth. We're the richest club in the world, and there are so many world-class sporting directors. Yes, we are. Well, we've got the richest. We're not the richest club in the world yet, 12th Man, but we have the richest owners. But I know exactly where you mean by that one. Yes, absolutely. Boss's son on spitting image of Rishi Sunak.
Mm-hmm.
I remember that film Titanic where Gallant held Pete at the front of the boat with his arms out.
Oh, Jesus.
That's Pete and Paul's big sausage hunt. Good evening to you.
Who the hell's done that?
I don't know who they are, but anyway. Guys, I got 50 watching, so if you want to smash that like, that'd be absolutely fantastic because it does help the channel. It means new viewers find it easy. So do give it a thumbs up. Only takes a couple of seconds. And if you are brand new to the channel, do smash the subscribe and come and join this great community we have here as well. Thank you. And there is a poll in the chat, so get voting on the poll. Will Ashworth stay Newcastle United? Just went to the zoo, had an anaconda in and some python. Even they had an Ashworth snake in there.
Bloody hell.
I'm sure Paul Gallant was the vicar of Dibley, says Brian. Bia says, are you going to ask for the snooty back, Pete? Paul Hansen says, we will still move forward without Ashford. Our owners are very shrewd, absolutely. David says, is Mason on the way out the door?
No, he's not really. Ryan, you can get lost as well.
Zoe's Media House has said, Jim Brailsford and Omar Dan Mitchell, Ten Hag, class of 24. I think there's a time to sulk and a time to shuffle, dance and celebrate. And as Man U fans, come on. So, Zoe, are you happy about Man U wanting Dan Ashworth? And what is your thoughts if that's the case? Do let us know how you feel about Dan Ashworth if he does end up in Manchester United. Because not a done deal yet, by the way. Brian says,
yeah. Brian,
Gary says, evening, Tony Peter. Good evening to you, Gary.
Gary.
David says you should get rid of Mason. Laughing. 12th Man June says, how many owls would you have to see in a day to think that something weird is going on? Well, yeah. This is what I'm saying. This is why we probably haven't signed anybody in January, because maybe this has been going on behind the scenes. Or maybe the owners have realised that Dan Ashworth's looking to go to Man United, maybe. So who knows? But obviously we don't know, do we? So far on the vote, will Dan Ashworth leave Newcastle United? 68% of people have said yes, and 32% are saying no. So at the moment, as I just said that. So at the moment, it's the favourable thing is that he will leave Newcastle United. But as I say, we will find this out in the next few days, because I'm sure it's going to escalate over the next couple of days or so. Eddie Howe's press conference may be interesting on Friday. If he does it, or he sends Jason Tyndall out to do it, who knows? BS says Man U fans are going to be mad when they realise Ratcliffe is a Chelsea fan, a season ticket holder. Don't give Mason a pay rise, says David. Brian's got the lurgy. I don't care if Man U get Ashworth. I'm just happy they didn't get the Qatar takeover. Yeah, good point, mate. Good point, good energy, dude. David says there's no smoke without fire, and right now I see a forest fire. Julie says quite a few have got that lurgy. It's a bad one, managed to avoid it so far. Gallant looks like the type of guy that hangs around parks, says Up the Max. Zoe's Media House says, in the beginning, Sir Jim Takeover was sceptical, but since the takeover was announced, there can't be many complaints with the appointments made at board level. Interesting. I know you just wanted rid of the Glazers, but you haven't got quite rid of them, but at least you've got somebody else there. Brian says, did you know David Jason was supposed to be play Grandad instead of Del Boy? Or was he?
Didn't know that.
I love Only Fools Know Us. It's one of my favourite all-time comedies.
Brilliant.
Can't beat it. Right, okay, let's get on to the next thing. So the next story is, obviously, we've seen today, and that is the news. And this is a bit of good news now, not a bit of sadness of somebody leaving. This is actually positive. This is somebody who wants to stay at Newcastle United and has now committed his future for another year. There he is. It is Emil Kraft. Yes, Emil Kraft has decided to sign a new 12-month contract, which will take him up to 2025. I've seen some mixed messages about this, but look, I'm happy with this in a way, because look, he can play right back, he can play centre back, and he's a good squad player to have in the squad. I expect we'll get rid of a few players in the summer. I think the likes of Dummett will be gone in the summer. Gillespie will be gone in the summer. I believe Lascelles will be gone. Because by newspaper reports, Besiktas are going to take him on a free in the summer because they couldn't get him in January. And they've offered his family a house and everything. So, look, Emil Kraft signing for another year. Pete, are you happy with that? Or
yeah, I definitely. Yeah. I think he's under Eddie Howe very much improved. Went nowhere under Bruce. We know he didn't play a lot last season. There's still more to come from him, I think. I still don't think we've seen enough of Emil Kraft yet at this football club, and I think he's definitely deserved the extra year, considering he only played one game last season, which was the cup against Carabao Cup against Tranmere. And to see him back now, he's still got it. So I'm delighted with Kraft. He deserves it.
Yeah, absolutely. Emil, I mean, he's played well under Eddie Howe, hasn't he? Yep. So he's, 12th Man Tune says, what's the one goal you guys wish you could rewatch again live? Live? Gosh. Do you know what, 12th Man? There's been so many. That's the thing.
Wow. I've got two in my mind, actually. two I can think of.
I could say the Laurent Robert screamer against Man United. Shearer's volley against Everton.
Yeah, that's one of them.
Yeah.
The other one I've got, Pappy CCV Chelsea.
Yes, that was a hell of a goal, wasn't it? Yeah, that was a great goal, that wasn't it? But the one that I think, if I could watch it back live again, and I was at this game anyway, and I remember him scoring it, but I was obviously down at the Leeds end, so it was scored at the Gallagher end, and that was Hatton Ben Arthur against Bolton Wanderers.
Oh yes, I was at that game as well. Yes, I was in.
Yeah,
I was actually in the Millburn stand for that game.
yeah.
I was in the Millburn actually for that game, and yeah.
All I kept saying was, when's he going to pass it? When are you going to pass it? When are you going to pass it? And then next thing, it was in the back of the net. It's like, you know, so yeah, that's got to be my favourite goal. Yeah. There's so many, though. That's the thing. There's so many great goals we've scored over the years.
Yeah.
But that's got to be my favourite, I think. Yeah, absolutely. Pleased about this, says Julie. Yeah, absolutely. Bia says Kraft's been really good whenever he's come on. He has been, absolutely. Played well against Man U at Old Trafford. Even if Ashworth is in the Man U dressing room, Eddie will say a note about him, says Paul. Yeah. Peter, when Dreamcraft signing that new deal, says Brian.
Yeah, Brian, man.
Bruno's very first goal at back heel against Southampton. Yeah, absolutely, Julie.
Very interesting one, yeah.
Emil's are already in some unfair to the kidder. Yeah, absolutely. Pleased about the Emil deal. Yeah, so we are pretty pleased with that. Scott says Kraft's been injured for ages, deserves one more year to see how good he is.
Yep.
Zoe's Media House says maybe Eddie Howe one day Man United manager. What do you think?
No.
Can't see it. I think, do you know what I've got a feeling of? And I'm going to say this now, and I think this might, I don't know if this might split opinions, but people might actually agree with me on this. I think after the Euros, I think England may come calling for Eddie Howe. I think they might, because I think it depends how bad we do in the Euros, because we don't know. We could actually win that tournament. We should win that tournament by right, but look,
it's Southgate. That's the problem.
If we don't get very far, I can see Southgate not getting a new contract, and I can see the FA coming for Eddie Howe. And would I stand in the way? Maybe not, because really. Eddie might want to take the job on, and do you know what? That's fair enough.
But then again, Eddie said he prefers the day-to-day football game.
Yeah,
that's the only thing. So it could not. It may not happen as well.
No, but he definitely won't be going to Man United. Maybe one club I could say maybe being a manager of in the Premier League if it wasn't at Newcastle. That would maybe be Everton, because he's an Everton supporter. He's an Everton fan, Eddie Howe, so maybe. David says keeping Kraft is good business. Julie says no to Man United. Yeah, absolutely. He's not Emil Kraft no more, says up the max. No. Tino's header in his hat-trick against Barcelona. He was before the cross came in. Yes, that's another great one. Yeah. Trying to think now who else scored a great goal. I think for celebrations, Kevin Nolan's chicken dance against the Mackhams has got to be up there. Another goal, if I was going to say a memorable goal, that was one of my favourites for Ben Arthur. But then I look back and I think, do you know what? Actually, no. I'll tell you what my favourite was. Ben Arthur was up there, but I'll tell you what eclipsed Ben Arthur. Tiote equaliser against Arsenal at 4-4 draw.
Oh, yes.
God rest his soul. But yeah, what a great goal that was. You know, and I'm glad I stayed for that game because there was many people leaving after 18 minutes. You know, the guy who has NUFC on his belly, Keith, I know him quite well, him and his mate. Like, oh, Tony, why are you not leaving for? You're sick of this crap, aren't you? And I says, well, look, I'm going to stay a bit longer. If it gets worse, then I'll, And I thought, I'm going to stay and just see. Hopefully, we might pull a goal or two back the second half. We ended up coming back 4-4. But as I always say in that game, the turning point was when Abu Diaby got himself sent off. And I said to a lad next to me, why is he losing his head when they're 4-0 up? What an idiot. I says, this could come back to bite them. And it did come back to bite them. And actually, we should have probably won that game because Leon Best's goal wasn't offside. The first one he scored. And Nolan shaved the post near the end, so we could have won that game. But that was the comeback of all comebacks. Isak dribbled at Everton, what a run and a pass for the goal. Yeah, absolutely, David. My favourite goal, that Pete as well, says 12th man. Mine is Peter Biaggi against Brighton. I was 10. Wouldn't be daft at school. Zoe says Rooney's volley versus Newcastle United. Can watch over and over. Sorry, Man U fan, yeah. No,
Tell you
you're
what,
absolutely fine.
No,
Do you know what?
That was a good goal. That was a cracking goal. Like,
yeah, you can't take it away from him. I mean, it was a cracking goal. Yeah, absolutely.
He just volleyed that.
And as I say, Zoe, I don't have a problem with opposition fans coming in the chat. I have a few regulars who come in the chat. I have a West Ham fan, a Leeds fan who comes in the chat regular. So, great to see you come on here and, do come back and have banter in the chat because, we are a friendly bunch here.
That's it.
Wayne says Shearer against Everton, Albert against Man U. Yeah. Kraft's been spot on, says Lee. Actually, I was 11 in 84, says Ronald. Kraft is in front of us to retain his future. Need the other dead one out the way first. Yeah, absolutely, Paul. Since the takeover, Share's goal against PSG is going to be a top contender for all of my
favorite. I was down there in the area that he scored in.
When he was slipped as well, didn't he, as he took it, so to control it. You could even argue Share's goal against Burnley and Forest as well. They were both carbon copy. David says, if we move the likes of Wilson, Almiron, Longstaff, what would generate about 70 million? Or after 5 years? It's 350 spending money for improvement. Do you know what it is? I mean, look, Wilson, I'm going to say this now. He's got this pectoral injury. If he's not fit for Saturday, but look, we're getting 1 or 2 games out of Wilson and then he's off again injured. The guy is made of glass. In the summer, I'm sorry, he's been great for us, but it's time Callum Wilson was shown the exit door and went off for a payday elsewhere because, look, the guy's been great for us, but if we can go out there in the summer and get 20 million for him, snap the hands off and say, thank you, Callum, for everything you've done. And when you shut the door, go, thank God for that. He's no longer on the treatment table here. Yes. What about you, Pete? Would you sell Wilson in the summer?
Yes, I would.
Almiron, I think, will be moved out.
Yes. Just glass made completely now. That's the problem. He's not getting any younger, unfortunately, now. That's the thing. And we need a striker who's going to pick up less injuries now. I can't rely on Callum. He's been a great servant. If he does say, he'll be a squad player next season. He'll not be a regular starter. That's the problem. Callum Wilson can still do it. But the injuries are just, when it's an injury, few weeks at least, you can't stay fit.
Brian says, whoever comes in as director of football, he'll be handed the task of selling the top player. I mean, look, I've got no problem with selling Longstaff in the summer because you get 100% profit for him.
Yep.
And he's only got a year left on his contract as well.
Yep.
Chris Rigg looks like he could be joining us in the summer from Blunderland. His parents are Toon fans. That's interesting, isn't it? Brian says, I told you last night, Tony, under Fat Sam, it was Newcastle versus Blackburn. We were 3 down. I just want the bar and drunk because I knew we were losing that game. Yeah.
When was that one?
Blackburn at home.
Under Fat Sam.
Yeah.
All right, I can't remember that one.
When he took over as manager, I started sitting in level 7, where the away fans before the away fans went up there, because I would see the ball more up there, you see. That's why I sat up there, Pete.
I just
in level
can't
7, because you saw the ball more when you sat in level 7 under Fat Sam's football, because it was hoofed a long ball, wasn't it?
Because I've
in the air more than it was on the deck.
All right, because I've just been looking at our results in the 07-08 season. We actually lost 1-0 to Blackburn on March the 1st, 2008. And that would have been Keegan as manager at the time, I'm sure.
Oh, I don't know which one that was, then. I don't know which one that is. I
know we've lost to Blackburn away, but that was 2-0 up at half time. I remember a game we were 3-0 down in a space of when was it? Yeah, 3rd of November 2007. We were 3-0 down in a space of 11 minutes against Portsmouth.
When you think Portsmouth of all teams, do you know what I mean? It's fans of all clubs welcome, says Julie. Absolutely, even Sunderland fans. Yeah, Robert free kick, says Lee. Steady Julie, says David. Oh, I remember the Robert free kick. That was a tasty goal. It was, wasn't it? Mickey goal at Fulham. Yeah, that's another good one.
Yep.
Another Paul on Wilson, Tony. Yeah, I can't put 2 on at the same time, but yeah, we'll definitely do another Paul on that in another show for Mickey. Heard Matty Longstaff sign for Gator. Good luck to Matty Longstaff and hope he can do us well there. Yeah, under the guidance of Rob Elliott, the ex-goalkeeper. Callum is Mr. Glass from Unbreakable, says David. David says, good luck to Matty. Bloody pork pie ruined that lad. Yeah, he did, Stevie Bruce. Yeah, that's what I said, Tony. Level 7, yeah. What would be under the radar signing in the summer? I'd go for Philogene from Hull, been tearing up the championship this season. Yeah, because it got him from Villa, didn't it? But and under the radar signing. Oh. I know who I'm going for. It's under the radar signing, it would just come completely out the blue. Let me put him on screen because everybody knows it's one of my favourite players. I want to sign. I want it Newcastle because he's only 22 years of age as well, and I've seen the guy live, and he's a brilliant footballer. There we go, Manu Kone. There you go.
Yay.
That would be an under the radar signing for me. You got one, Pete?
I think I'd probably go with the same. Actually, he's really good. Him, that Manu Kone.
He's a baller. Have you ever been in the home end at an away game? No, never. I can't do it, Brian. I can't, because I'll tell you why I won't do it. Because there's no way I can sit there. If we score, how can I actually sit there and contain myself? There is not one chance that I am not going to jump up and celebrate a Newcastle goal. That is why, even if there is tickets for the home end, I would never go to a match to watch Newcastle and sit in the home end because I could not do it. I'm sorry, I can't. My loyalties wouldn't allow it, so I can't do it. So if I was to go to the game, it would either have to, if it's a home game, obviously I'd be in the home part. If it was an away game, I would have to be in the away. I could not sit in the home section at all. So there's your answer to that one, Brian.
And because he's even said, I've said I wouldn't do it, and it's exactly the same reasons as well.
I can't sit with my legs on my hands. No chance.
No.
David says, best neutral game I ever saw was Blythe Spartans versus Wrexham about 30 years ago. The bloody ground was literally bouncing, full of Toon, Carlisle, Blunderland that night. Fabulous. I mean, look, when I used to have my season ticket and I didn't go to an away game, Gateshead used to play at home that week. So I used to go to the Gateshead Stadium and go watch Gateshead play. And you'll be surprised how many Toon fans were going to the matches. And I'll tell you what, you see some pretty good football in that National League. You really do.
You do, yeah?
And some of the goals in there wouldn't be out of place in the Premier League. Let's be honest. I always remember Gateshead played Histon Town, and Gateshead lost 1-0 to Histon. But what happened was, all through the game, Histon had this target man up front, about 6'4" he was. And all Histon done all game, and this is all they done all game. It was the most boring football you've ever witnessed from Histon Town. All they done was hoof this ball every time they got it in defence, just boom, up to him, boom, 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 all the time. Gateshead played pretty football along the ground. Gateshead had chances to score. And I think it got to about the 86th minute. One ball came over the top, he got on it and scored. Histon won it 1-0. And I thought, that's the most boring team I've ever seen. And I had to look to make sure Sam Allardyce wasn't their manager, because the balls, all they'd done was kept hoofing this ball up to this guy up front. And it was just the most boring football. And I thought, that's not the way to play football. You should be playing it on the ground, I didn't like it, to be honest with you. But, but like I say, I used to go to every Gateshead game when Newcastle were playing away. Up the max, it's Rolly not on here now, Tony. He hasn't been on for a while, but he is going to be coming on soon, mate. Yeah, he's just
That's good.
busy at the moment, and it's Valentine's Day as well, so... Gary D says, I remember under Rafa we lost both games against Blackburn, 1-0 defeat, both lads.
Yeah, we did. Premiership,
BS says, Tony has more cones than an ice cream man. Ticket the Tony Live Show bingo card mention Coney. Yeah. Do you know what? I know I go on about the guy, but I tell you what, he is a good footballer. And I'm not only surprised to say we haven't got him, I'm surprised nobody else has picked this lad up, because he is a hell of a player. Scott says, Mbappe defo under the radar signing, yes please. Do you know what, Scott? As much as he's a good player, I wouldn't want him. I didn't like his attitude when he played against us at St James's Park. He didn't look interested, and he looks the type of player that if things don't go right, he just goes in a sulk, and I just don't want that sort of player at our club. Yes, don't doubt he's got the talent. But in terms of attitude, I'm not so sure, mate, honestly, but I see where you're coming from on that one. Would you have Mbappe, Pete?
Cracking player, but you've got to look at his attitude problems as well. We don't want that in the dressing room, do we?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
So, no.
Ronald says, I took my second oldest lassie against Arsenal in the family enclosure when Fat Sam was in charge, and I shouted, "Hoi, ref, you left your effing white stick in the dressing room," full of apologies. The posh lad and his lassie, along with thousands, were creased as it was quiet. My lassie always laughs about it. Forget where I was, lol. It's just one of those things. It happens, doesn't it? Brian says, I did it. I think Sheffield Wednesday, I couldn't do it again, but that was carnage because I got found out. Yeah, they're not the nicest of people. I was in the Sheffield away end when we went there on Boxing Day in the Championship. And yeah, Mad Max says, I know a few lads who show their support for the local teams like Hartlepool, spending more on dollar, but all the Newcastle fans, before anything, it's all right. Catch the local sides if the tune aren't on. That's the way to do it. That's the way, because you're giving them clubs money and they deserve a bit of money. Brian says, Mbappe £2.5 million a week? No chance, absolutely.
Nope.
Mbappe wouldn't be able to get his heat through the dressing room door. and would ruin our club, says David. Right, I'm just going to pop into the poll and look. So we're going to end the poll here, but the poll is 72% yes, that Dan Ashworth will leave Newcastle United, so that has really jumped up, and 28% say he won't leave. So there we go. The majority is saying Dan Ashworth is on his way out the exit door.
Yep.
So he's maybe just sitting in the departure lounge and he's just waiting for the go-ahead to go through the exit.
There you go.
Lee says Mbappe didn't have the balls to shake any of the players' hands after the match. No, he didn't. No, absolutely. Right, guys and girls, we're coming to the end of this show, but look, it's been a cracking show again as always, and it's been great having Pete on as well. Get Pete's view on Ashworth, and obviously Emil Kraft signing the new contract today. What you got coming up, Pete? And let everybody know where they can find you.
So down there, PD Prologue, my channel. Tomorrow I'll be back 8 o'clock for the match preview with myself and Mason, and Friday will be the Crazy PD's football live show. Saturday I'll be at the game, so quick thoughts after the game and fan reactions. And Sunday, match review and player ratings.
Yeah, I'm going to ask you, Pete, actually, what's your prediction for the weekend for Saturday's game?
Oh, I've not given it. See, I was doing in my score prediction.
Are you doing in your Are you going to do it for your show tomorrow?
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, keep it for your show tomorrow, then,
No
Pete.
problem.
We'll all tune in and hear your scoreline.
Mm-hmm. Oh, bloody hell, Brian, man.
He's opened a hair salon called Blow and Go. Get bobbing. Sounds like some off Benidorm, that. I have a lot of time for Hartlepool, says Julie. Yeah.
That's good, yeah.
Lee says, been a great show tonight, Tony and Pete, spot on. Thank you very much indeed, Lee. I've been to Hartlepool's ground before, Victoria ground, when Newcastle played the friendly and the seats were awful because there were these seats that were like screwed onto a wall. Horrible seats. They were the most uncomfortable seats as well. South Shields, I should have said, says Mason. Anyways, good night and take care. Yeah.
As well, Julie.
Great show, Tony and Pete. Cheers, Ian. Thank you very much. And I gather a lot of you might be jumping on the American Magpie because I'll be on there soon as well. Jam Stash, I say 6-0. Botman with a double hat-trick.
Oh.
Let's hope. Take care, all. Cheers, Mason. You too, mate. Wayne says, other than the Toon Mason, South Shields is my local club. David says, great show, Tony and Pete. Cheers, David. Thank you very much indeed. But before we do head off here, don't forget, if you do like what you see, then please do smash that like. It does help the channel. So if you haven't yet give it a like, just give it a thumbs up. It only takes a couple of seconds. That'd be fantastic. If you're brand new to the channel, come and smash your subscribe and be part of this great community. And that bell notification tells you when I'm live, have a pre-record or any upcoming shows as well. Final dig into some comments here before we head off tonight. Mason says, I've got a lot of time for them to win. Late romantic, Pete with Gallant tonight, candles, roses, etc. 3-1 this weekend, says Crane. Thanks for a great show. No worries, mate. Cheers. Thank you very much. I am back tomorrow night with a show. I've got Craig, Bournemouth fan, coming on, but it's not till 9 p.m. tomorrow for the preview, so do catch me for that. I'll be there, Tony says. Ian, nice one, Ian. Take care, everyone. We head to Nottingham again, Peter.
Funny you should say that. Yes, I am for a lads' weekend away in a couple of weeks, just over in a couple of weeks' time, actually.
Yeah, I saw your footage that you were caught on camera again, Pete.
Oh,
You've got this handy knack of getting in the way of the cameras.
Yeah, it was match of the day during Bruno's interview.
I'll tell you one thing though, Pete. You know, anybody who's on the social and they're claiming sickness benefit and they get caught on camera, if they're claiming disability and they're on camera, God help them, me. Can you imagine that? Ronald says, "What's wrong? What was wrong with me promoting your Friday night show on Paddy Conroy Show beat Few and T and TTR?
Oh,
4-1 win for us," says Lee. Wayne says, "Great show, Tony and Pete. Night, everyone. Good night to you as well, Wayne.
and
You
no,
invite
Mason.
Lance, Peter. 2 dirty weekends in Rushcliffe. Pete, make sure you got your STD
Jesus.
check." Right, on that note, guys, I think we'll leave it there on that one. And look, in a couple of weeks' time, I won't be in the UK for the Blackburn game. So thankfully, I've got my VPN renewed with NordVPN. So what I'll do is I'll use that when I'm abroad so I can watch it on the BBC because I'll be in I'll be in a bit of a warmer climate than here as well. I'll be in sunny Albania, in Tirana. So I'll so that's what I'll have to do on the Tuesday night. I'll watch it on there. That's the day I fly to Albania. I'm going for a couple of days break, so that'll be great. I'm looking forward to that.
Fun.
But remember, the future's bright. The future is definitely black and white, and it's bye bye from me.
And me.
How are the lads?